All right, I'd like to call the Wednesday, October 16th meeting of the Sebastian City Council to order, please. Would you stand for the a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance? And when you, oh, we have an invocation today, so let's do the invocation before we do the pledge. Would be fine.
Let's pray. Lord, we just ask tonight, first and foremost, we thank you for protecting us during the storm. We thank you, Lord, because we see the communities around us that were so impacted. And Lord, we thank you for sparing us. We pray your blessing on this city. We pray your blessing on this council, on each one that will come to this podium, Lord. We pray for your wisdom and your guidance, and we ask all this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give me a roll call, please.
Mayor Dodd.
Here.
Vice Mayor Dixon.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin will be joining us in just a little while, and Councilmember Nunn is excused tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have two items for agenda modifications, Council. The first one is add the phone. Okay, the first one is to add an item to the consent agenda, which would be item 8K. What that is because the emergency declaration has expired, we have to provide the city manager authorization to begin the collection of the storm debris, and that's what that item is. And I think he's passed that information around, and it's just in order to provide so that he can do that justification on the storm debris. The second item is I would like to add item 11B, which is a reconsideration of the vote taken on 9/25 on ordinance O-2417, which is the ordinance at the second reading for the modification of the land use and zoning requirements in the Triangle District for outdoor storage. So that would become item 11B. Is there any other issues related to the agenda that anyone has? All right, hearing none, then the agenda is approved by acclamation. Proclamations and brief announcements.
Okay, so we have a busy next 2 days, especially for the families. Thursday, October 17th, the Sebastian Police Department Community Night Out from 5 to 8 in Riverview Park. And Friday, October 18th is the Halloween celebration at Riverview Park. The contest registration begins at 5:30, along with trunk or treat beginning at the same time at 5:30. The costume contest begins at 6:15. And then Sebastian Police Department's Movie Night Out, featuring the movie Coco, begins at 7:15. In addition to all of that fun at Riverview Park, the Chamber of Commerce is kicking off their Finally Friday series on Cleveland Street. That begins at 5:30 and it ends at 8 p.m. October 21st to November 2nd is early voting in council chambers from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then Saturday, October 26th is the United Way Days of Caring at Easy Street Park. The project is the Bourne Learning Trail, and that is from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Okay, the city manager, if you would like to give us a kind of an update on what's happened with the storm preparations in the city and so forth.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to give some brief updates in regards to Hurricane Milton, the effects that we're seeing within the city, and have some discussion in regards to current activities that are taking place and what we anticipate to take place in the future. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to recognize all of our staff. Multiple departments were involved in the pre-planning stages of our preparation for Hurricane Milton. We did, across the city, receive a range of, somewhere in the range of 6 to 7 inches of rain on Wednesday in a short 2 to 3 hour period, which did cause our stormwater system to become inundated. However, I can state that the system worked as it should. The water funneled down the streets, down the swells, into the ditches, into the canals, and then out to the river as it should. We did see some minimal blockages that staff quickly got out, thanks to the residents who notified us of any blockages they saw. We got out on those Wednesday afternoon as soon as it was okay to do so once we had cleared the rain and the tornado warnings that had taken place. So I just want to congratulate our staff in all of our departments, but specifically in regards to our stormwater, public works department, parks department was involved in that as well. So great job to our entire staff within the city. We had a lot of staff that worked during the event. In addition to pre-planning during the event, we had staff stationed around the city throughout the evening during the storm. And then immediately after, we had staff immediately going out and assessing any situations that were out there. I also want to recognize our police department. They did a great job. Once again, pre-storm, during the storm, they were out there. I think they were only called off the streets for a short period during one of the tornado warnings that we knew was on the ground. And then also overnight, the winds did get high enough that we pulled them off the streets for a short period. But for the most part, they were out there. I think there was a total of maybe 2 to 3 hours that they were off the streets due to the conditions. But they handled things really well, and congratulations to our police department for a very good response during the storm activities as well. As we continue to go forward, the city in general did okay in the storm. Our impacts were minimal. We did see some home damage. A few commercial businesses had damage. And as you continue to ride around, we see the debris out there. Well, hopefully we have an item that's going to be considered on consent tonight that will give me the authorization to move forward with our debris removal and debris monitoring. Once we get that approval during city manager matters later, or during, around that time, I'll announce when that process is going to start once we get the approval to go forward with that. But be assured that vegetative debris removal will be coming, and it'll happen pretty quickly here once we get the approvals. I do want to announce that the county, in conjunction with the state, has a lot of resources that are available to the public. One specific one is they have a multi-agency resource center that opened Monday, October 14th. It's located at the United Against Poverty Center at 1400 27th Street, Vero Beach. It's open on weekdays from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. The weekend times are pending, but you can check the county's emergency management website for further details. But at this location, organizations and services that are offered include the United Way of Vero Beach, Salvation Army, American Red Cross, Treasure Coast Community Health, Mental Health Association, the Veterans Council, Department of Children and Families, Disability Resources, Career Resources, Safe Families, Go Line, Healthy Start, and there is also a grocery store on site for qualified persons. I just want to assure everyone that our staff has been in communication with the county, with their emergency operations throughout the time frame pre-storm and post-storm. We have also began the process of filing applications for assistance and things that are needed within the city with the Department of Emergency Management with the state, FDEM, and also through our FEMA from the federal level as well. So if anyone has questions, feel free to reach out to the city at any time. You can call our citizen request line. Follow our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Nextdoor. We post a lot of information on those sites as well. That's pretty much the most up-to-date information that you can find from the city. So feel free to join those and follow those at any time. And then also you can go to the county's emergency management website has a lot of detailed information. So that is a really good resource for anyone to check as well. But like I said, any questions, you can feel free to contact our staff. Our citizen request line is open. And if it's busy and they're full, leave a message and they'll get back to you really quickly. So with that, Mayor, if there's any questions from council or anything, that is my update.
Thank you. I think I got a message today about the blue tarp or blue top is now open and active, and there's a phone number for emergency management you can call to get, if you've got a damaged roof, that they can come put that on for you. So I didn't know whether that triggered on your phone yet or not.
I have it. I'm pulling it up right now. So Operation Blue Roof, program for residents impacted by Hurricane Milton. Eligible residents can apply now through Tuesday, November 5th. Residents impacted by Hurricane Milton can sign up for this no-cost service by visiting blueroof.gov, calling 888-ROOF-BLUE. That is 888-766-3258. Or you can visit a right of entry collection center within, I think there's one open in Vero Beach down in Indian River County. So once again, blueroof.gov or 888-766-3258 for Operation Blue Roof for anyone that needs that resource.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, I have a proclamation. We're going to ask the Community Development Director to come forward if we can. Okay, this is a proclamation for Community Planning Month. See, you thought you only planned part of the year. Now it's a whole 1 month. Okay, whereas change is consistent and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places. And whereas community planning and plans can help manage the change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live. And whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their communities, especially in terms of municipal land use and transportation policy. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives Sebastian residents and elected officials the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city. And whereas the City of Sebastian has a 7-member planning commission and 2 alternates and 5 full-time staff members with planning backgrounds. And whereas the Sebastian City Council recognizes the many valuable contributions made by professional community planners of the city and extends their heartfelt thanks for the community commitment and public service for these professionals. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Ed Dodd, and the Sebastian City Council do hereby proclaim October 2024 as Community Planning Month in the City of Sebastian. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Sebastian to be affixed this 16th day of October 2024. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. And
You
gotta get a picture.
Yeah.
all right. Thank you.
All right.
And just so everybody knows, they don't do this just 1 month a year. They work very hard, 12 months a year. So thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We now have a presentation on the Vulnerability Assessment Draft Update, which was formerly known as the Coastal Resiliency Plan. Who's going to introduce this?
Karen is going to introduce them and go from there.
Okay. So we have our consultant from Kimley Horn here to do a presentation on the update.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council of City Sebastian. My name is Chris Nephratis with the firm of Kimley Horn. I'm very excited to be here tonight to give you this presentation on the vulnerability assessment that's nearing its completion for the City of Sebastian. This presentation was done in compliance with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's Coastal Resiliency Program, which was funded the project. And this project, the main focus of this was to conduct a vulnerability assessment that was in compliance with the state statute to determine flood depths for various scenarios and assigning risk levels for each of those scenarios. A total of 20 flood scenarios were evaluated for this study, and to ultimately come up with focus areas, target areas where the severity of flooding is and where future implementation strategies could be considered. So this was the project scope for the project, which included 4 other tasks that have been completed. The last task is the final vulnerability assessment, and this part of this task, with task 6, is the public presentation, which will feed into the final deliverable for the vulnerability assessment. Just stepping through some of the tasks on this, the data acquisition task was focused on building the report card for the vulnerability assessment. This included downloading information on city as-built, critical infrastructure elements, shelters, the digital elevation model that was used to run the various flood scenarios, and the flood scenario data, which I said included over 20 scenarios looking at sea level rise, rainfall, compound events, which included sea level rise and rainfall and surge. So amalgamating all of those scenarios led to about 20 scenarios. This was the critical asset inventory that we collected. So what you can see on here is major roadways, bridges, pump stations, local government facilities, everything that's owned and maintained by the city was collected as part of this project. The second step on this was to do the exposure analysis. So to take those 20 flood scenarios and understand where the inundation occurs in and around the city. So for each of those 20 scenarios, there's inundation extents, which is essentially flood maps for each of those scenarios. And there's an example of all the ones that were run. Some of them are just grouped together strategically, but they total up to about 20 scenarios when you pull them all together. The next step was to do the sensitivity analysis. So the exposure analysis gave the delineation extents. So the sensitivity looked at how critical was the flooding. So in areas where we had structures for the cities like shelters and stuff, we're primarily looking at finished floor elevations. Whereas if we're looking at parks or natural resources, it's done as a ratio of the total area. So what percentage of this park was flooded? So that's how we look at the sensitivity on these flood scenarios. And then from here, we developed and grouped the looking at the exposure analysis and sensitivity analysis. We developed 5 focus areas, which you see on this map over here. This was vetted with city staff. We went through, discussed with staff. Have you seen, based on the work that's been done over here, does this look reasonable in terms of areas that have historically flooded or have been issues in the past? Notably, a lot of inundation extents east of Indian River Road, which was susceptible and vulnerable to rainfall, sea level rise, especially for some of the docks, compound flooding, and as well as some of the storm surge. So a lot of vulnerability associated east of Indian River on some of this, and those were the five focus areas that we that were devised. We also have participated in as part of the local mitigation strategy that the county runs in Indian River. We've attended several meetings, and from this report will provide input into the vulnerability assessment and the local mitigation working group for the county. And the next steps are to submit the final vulnerability assessment report, receive a letter of certificate of completion from DEP, and then next steps moving on from this project, look at taking those focus areas and develop an adaptation plan, which are high-level strategies and interventions that could look at improving infrastructure or other policies as part of that adaptation plan. And then looking at considering funding mechanisms. Now that you've done an update to your resilience plan with this vulnerability assessment, this sets you up to go after some more funding from DEP for the implementation plan, where you can take the adaptation plan that's developed and help put some of these projects in the ground. Happy to answer any questions.
Is there are there any grants that have been identified at this point, or is it too early in the process to be thinking about that?
Certainly, looking at DEP's FDP implementation grants, very very fertile program that's out there. Because you've done this vulnerability assessment, that's the next step. You're not able to go after the implementation funds if you don't do the vulnerability assessment.
Right, right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, anybody? Hmm?
It was very,
And
was
just so
very
you know,
interesting looking at all
he
these
did
maps.
6 slides or 7. This is the actual document right here.
it's over 300 pages.
Yeah, so
Good bedtime reading.
it contains an awful lot of really, really neat information, so. I'm gonna actually, this is something, I'm gonna open this up if anybody in the public has anything they'd like to say about it. Anyone in the public like to address the council on this issue? Seeing none, okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all you need from us, right, Brian?
Yes, I just wanted to state one thing. So, thank you. We really appreciate it. And we have applied for a grant to pay for the adaptation plan as well. So that's kind of our next step. But we did submit a grant proposal for that as well to be funded, by FDEM as well.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right, we're now down to public input. Anyone from the public who would like to address the council on anything that's not on the current agenda?
Thank you, sir. Damian Gilliams, 1623 US Highway 1, a resident of this community for 40 years. As a business owner for 32 years in one business and 36 for another, I've seen a lot of things come and go here, but this tops the record. So, I was brought in front of the Code Enforcement Board, and I'm going to try to make this quick because I got a lot of things I want to discuss, with malicious prosecution charges, maliciously. Okay, they brought 4 charges by the city attorney, using the code enforcement as an avenue to come after businesses, mom and pop businesses in this community. And nobody on this dais has showed any leadership to pull her back. She violated a lot of the things that normal court officers do not do. And she's a representative of the court and the Florida Bar. So she was very dishonest with her appeals to the court. Now we're going to appellate court on my food processing center, on my business, on my commercial property, that she brought 4 charges, dropped 3 of them before the hearing, and now we're going to court with taxpayers' money. Money that I don't think was legally approved, $25,000, in reference to not having an executive privilege meeting with the board here and discussing whether you want to move forward. She's taken it upon herself based on the minutes of the meeting. So I'm going to share with the public. Here is the memorandum to the special magistrate by my attorney. I want this to be public record to the clerk so she can put this on, people make it available. The magistrate wanted to issue an order that evening, that afternoon, but the city attorney told him that he did not have the jurisdiction to issue an order. So she brought charges against me and then told him, and it's of the record, that he did not have the authority to issue an order. But my attorney went ahead and did a memorandum of law to educate your magistrate to help him out, and they proceeded to take me to appellate court because I had no choice. So, lo and behold, I get my favorite attorney, not my favorite attorney, my favorite judge, Judge Lynn, who put me in jail, and he issued an order that he dismissed it. And we had to ask for a rehearing. And we got a new judge, and a new judge has now passed it forward and making it so that now the city's going to have to respond. Okay? Your shenanigans are over. It's poor. You have no idea what your attorney's doing and what kind of liability she's putting you in. So here's the order right here from Michael J. Lind, trying to dismiss my case. Here's also the appellate motion for rehearing, right here. And then an order on the motion for rehearing from a new judge, Kathleen Roberts, who's honorable in our community, and is willing to follow case law. not play the games that your little attorney over there is playing. Appellate's response to motion for rehearing comes now to the city of Sebastian. Your new counsel that you don't even know about, because I spoke to Mr. Jones today. He was clueless. You guys don't know what's going on. You just, oh, we're in litigation. You mean you go into litigation, you have no clue on what's going on? Wrong. Appellate's reply to appellate's response. All of this I want shown to the public, how poor of a job you're doing to administer your charter officer right here, okay? And the order for motion for rehearing was granted. We're now proceeding. 20 to 25,000, and then maybe to the 4th District Court of Appeal, you're going to cost the taxpayers of this community. So I looked at your minutes on July 19th and July 10th of the record. Outside legal counsel, the city attorney said this was a request to execute an amendment with the existing agreement with Andrew, her buddy from Orlando. She's bringing in her buddy. I know this move. Mr. Manning does it all the time. That's why he's not here anymore, thanks to my quickness. That she needs a backup when she's unavailable. Not unavailable. She had a conflict of interest. Right here. Also on July 19th, city attorney, she asked capital outlay expenses of $25,000. She didn't even have a meeting on it. So let the record show that she's dishonest with the appeals court. She tried to dismiss it with an appellate, and she should have resolved it, but she didn't. She's a dishonorable. She should be disbarred from the Florida Bar Association, and we're going to look into that as well. And she's an officer of the court. This city council approved the $25,000 without even knowing it, did not even have a meeting upstairs, do an executive meeting.
Thank you, sir. Your time's up.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that, Mr. Dunn. Can I ask for an extension of time? This is important. This is benefits.
Does anyone like to make a motion to provide this individual more time?
No.
Yeah, I figured that. She won't debate me, and you won't debate me either. That's okay.
Mr. Gilliams, your time's up. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, $1 million of equipment out the airport.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. Thank you. 2 years, not 4. Throw you out in 2.
Thank you, sir.
I'm watching you.
I've been watching you for years. Just so everybody knows, I was fully aware of the actions. I was fully aware of the actions by the city attorney, and I believe I didn't know that Councilmember Jones was not aware, but I was aware of the actions by the city attorney on this case. And it is currently still in litigation, so we cannot talk about it.
Correct.
Well, I was aware as well. I just wasn't going to discuss it with that person on the phone because we're in current litigation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So-
Perfect. That was a perfect answer, sir. Thank you. All right. Anyone else from the public like to address us on aviation item not on the agenda? Anyone on Zoom?
Nobody's raised their hand at this time.
All right, thank you. So we're on to the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull an item from the consent agenda?
I just wanted to pull item I, just to bring forth the information, because I think it's
Okay.
a good thing to discuss.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve item A through H and J and K. I can get one.
I move that we approve those items.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, wait a minute, excuse me. There's money involved in these, so let's take a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Dixon,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
and Mayor Dodd.
Yes,
Motion carries. Thank you.
okay. Now, item A, Vice Mayor Dixon.
Oh, yes.
Aye, rather, excuse me.
That's okay. I just wanted Mr. Benton to talk about the purchase of the drone and all that it is able to do for the city.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that, Vice Mayor. So this drone is kind of specialized. It will serve multiple abilities for the city. Some of the kind of cool things that it will do is we'll be able to plot its direction to go out in the field around the city. It'll fly our ditch bases, our canals, and shoot elevations, and get that data so that we have those data points when we're going in and doing some swell work, ditch work, and things like that. So it'll give us those capabilities, but it'll assist with public works, stormwater. It will assist us with our social media. We'll be able to use it for videos and data points as well for that. And we did also check with the manufacturer, and it is a unit that we could also, if our police department has drones currently on that they utilize. However, this would be another backup for them as well. So it'll serve a multitude of departments within the city. But the biggest benefit from this is really our benefit to stormwater and roads to be able to go out and assist us along those pathways that, takes a lot of man hours to walk up and down. And if there's any water in those swells and different things like that in the ditches, this will give us that capability.
Thank you.
All right. Would you like to make a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve. Item I.
All right.
Second, also, we have an item coming up on our agenda tonight that this would have been greatly needed for that project because there were some areas that I wanted to walk and go through myself, but due to all the rain and the terrain the way it is, wasn't able to get out there and take a look at some of those canals and ditches because of what we have coming up. So this would be a great addition to our city, and we do have a lot of ditches and canals throughout our city that will make a great benefit to us and our residents.
For sure.
Let's have a roll call, please.
Yes.
Mayor Dodd,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Dixon.
Yes.
I just want to check and see if Councilmember McPartland's on yet. Is he on? Okay, thank you.
He is on?
You don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
Second.
He does not appear to have joined yet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Just so you guys know, he was called to the West Coast to respond to issues related to the hurricane. So it was unexpected when he was called over there, so he's not able to. All right, we're now to committee reports, and the first one is the Natural Resources Board, asking to fill a vacancy on the Natural Resources Board.
Yeah, just first of all, I'd like to, if we have any of the candidates here for the Natural Resources Board or on Zoom. Do we have anybody on Zoom or here? The two, Paul or?
I have one with their hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, who is that?
Paul Dovell.
All right, Mayor Dodd.
Well, both of these are, and it's fine if he wants to address the council. Would you like to address the council, sir?
He has his hand raised.
We got him?
1 second. Can you hear us?
Nope.
Mr. Dovell?
Yes.
Hi, good evening. So I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity. I've been serving for about 4 months now as an alternate, and I am formally requesting to become a permanent member.
All right, thank you, sir. Council, we have two alternates. Mr. Duvall, we just spoke, is one, and then Daniel Bergen, who is also one of the individuals interested in this, is the second one. He is the longest-serving alternate that Daniel Bergen is of the two. So I would move that we elevate him.
He was only there for a couple months more than Paul.
Yeah, but
so there's a short.
I'm just going to nominate him. We can deal with the voting, but I feel like that the longest serving, even if it's just 2 months, alternate should be moved up to a permanent position as opposed to bypassing him. So I nominate Daniel Bergen to move up for this position. Any other nominations?
Paul Duvell.
Okay. Madam Attorney, if we do not all three vote for the same individual, do we not need to table this to the next meeting? Since there's only 3 people?
The majority.
So there were 2 nominations for different people.
Correct.
Right. We have 2 nominations for different people. So neither one of those are going to get 3 votes. And it's my understanding that when we only have 3 people available, that the only way from a majority vote, it has to be 3.
I think it's the majority of the ones present.
If you call, majority of those presents would be, is McPartland on yet? No.
Nope.
So your quorum is 3 at this point out of 5.
Okay, so the majority of those
present.
Okay.
So you may get, you should.
Okay, all right. Madam Clerk, would you do the voting, please?
Okay. Mayor Dodd,
Okay, Bergen.
Vice Mayor Dixon,
Bergen.
and Councilmember Jones.
Duvell.
Okay, so at about a 2-3 vote, Daniel Bergen is elevated. Okay. We now have an opening for an alternate in this board. I don't know if anyone has applied for that or not.
Not yet, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so we'll have to do that at a different time. All right, thank you. So now we're on to the Construction Board. We have one full-time expired position available, and I believe in our agenda packet there was only one individual who expressed interest in that.
Well, your two incumbents are requesting to be reappointed.
Okay. Richard Welcher,
Wiltshire?
okay, and James Fortier.
Fortier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So unless someone has any different opinions, I would move that we reappoint those two gentlemen to their current positions.
I agree.
Same.
Okay. It sounds like unanimous, so we're moving forward then. Okay, sounds good. So that appointment would be made.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, at this point in time, I'm going to recess the city council meeting and convene the community development agency.
Mayor, we have one more item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Annual report for the Planning and Zoning Board. Mrs. Cottenberg.
Thank you very much. I have a very brief report, although our work is not brief. And one of the things I'd like to say is that the Planning and Zoning Board is an advisory board, advisory to the council. What we do is we study all of the requests, balance them against current zoning and our strategic plan, check all of the resources that are included on the blueprints and the plot plans and all of that. And I would like to say that I have worked with city zoning boards for years, long before I got here. Our staff is exemplary. They do a marvelous job. Thank you. Thank you. It's amazing the amount of work that they get done. In this past year, we, as a board, have dealt with 5 conditional use permits, 3 site plans, 2 accessory structure reviews, land development code amendments, 2 land development code amendments, 2 special use permits, 5 rezoning requests, and 3 small-scale comprehensive plan future land use map amendments. And while that sounds pretty brief, there's a lot that goes into it. And I also, just because I'm here talking in public, I would like to say our meetings are open to the public. All of us who serve on this board have a background, some greater and some lesser, and we bring our experiences, but we need to have the input from the public as well, and we encourage members of the public to attend meetings. Every meeting is open, and there is time for input from the citizenry on every topic. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. They do a fantastic job. They have to deal with a lot of issues. Sometimes it comes to us and we don't agree with them, but that's just the way life is. So I would like to extend my appreciation to every member of that Planning and Zoning Commission. I served on it for years. I understand how difficult it is. So.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Mayor Dodd. I think they do a great job. And I just want them to understand that when we do disagree with them, don't take it personal. It's just things happen sometimes, right?
Anything else? Okay. Now I'm going to adjourn the city council meeting, and I'm going to call to order the Community Development Agency. Not adjourn, I'm going to recess the council meeting and call to order the Community Development Agency. We're now talking about the... Sure. Okay, before I take that drastic action of recessing the meeting and going forward, anyone in the public would like to address Ms. Cottenberg's presentation?
Procedurally, there is not required, Mayor.
There's not
but
required.
Not
you can
required,
allow-
thank you,
you can
sir.
allow it-
I just,
you
the
can allow
attorney
it if
just
you'd
advised
like,
me I'm
but-
not required to let you speak. But we'll let you speak anyway, just because we're feeling good about it today. Only if
For
you're nice.
shortcuts.
Only if
Okay,
you're
hit the
nice.
clock so you can throw me out in 5 minutes.
Okay.
I did appear in front of the planning and zoning, okay? And Mrs. Cottenberg was not fair with her issues when you bring them in front of her. Because there was an issue that we were talking about food trucks in this community that come into the town, take your tax money, and leave the town in 3 days. And I tried to explain to that board and let them know that, hey, there are existing businesses that have been here in this community that pay taxes, have an occupational license, need to place their truck on their property to clean it at the end of the night, and they needed to amend the ordinance that they were preparing for the city attorney to go up against me, and she failed. She failed to bring it in front of her board, explain it to her board, that, hey, we have a problem here. You have a brick and mortar that pays taxes, pays sales taxes. But Ms. Cottenberg decided to move forward with going with the out-of-town trucks that take the sales tax out of town. How convenient. Was it because it was Damian Gilliam's? Or was she just being objective and being open-minded? They failed. And that was only one time that I appeared in front of that board. God forbid if I would have appeared in front of that board on other issues, how many other problems they would have dealt with. So don't give them kudos tonight. They failed on the food processing trucks in this community. And what you're doing is you're inviting out-of-towners to bring their food trucks in here where they can take it back to their commercial properties, which I cannot do. They can take it back to their commercial commissary, Miss Attorney, and clean their trucks so they can go out the next day and take care of business so they can pay their bills and feed their families. Okay? They failed. And don't be afraid to call them out to make them better. They need to change their ways. They're political. The planning and zoning picks and chooses the winners of this community. That's what they do. I drive down Indian River Drive, and I see a marina by a VIP, and I'm not going to mention his name, a marina with not a proper site plan approval, with a driveway accessing his property, drives over the sidewalk, your sidewalk. And it's been reported, but everybody looks the other way because he is a VIP in the community. Don't mess with the VIP. Mess with the little guys that we don't like. That's the way you guys conduct business in this town. It's shameful. I drove down Indian River Drive all the time, every day. I have a little scooter. I got nothing better to do. I take pictures, and I see improvements. I go to do a minor, excuse me, don't interrupt me.
I'm gonna call a point of order.
I did a minor
Please,
modification.
sir.
Shut the clock then.
Please,
Shut
sir.
the clock, then
Stop
shut
the clock, please. Stop the clock, please.
the clock.
I'm gonna call a
Go
point
ahead.
of order.
Go ahead, sir.
I just want to remind
I
you.
respect you.
Just want to remind you that we are discussing right now the annual report from the Plains Zoning Commission, not your scooter and not your trips and not your pictures. If you have something to say about
should be
if
reporting
you have
this.
something to say about the
Okay,
annual
let me do it.
report from the Plains Zoning Board, you're more than welcome to use your next 15 minutes.
Thank you.
If not, then you may
Let's
probably be
talk
gone.
about the annual report of violations with the planning and zoning. When I submitted a site plan, she came back to me with $50,000 improvements.
You can start the clock again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that. So I submitted a minor modification for my picnic tables outside, and to planning and zoning. And they should know about this because they're planning and zoning board. And they asked for $50,000 in improvements for 5 picnic tables that I had there for 13 years, and you took them back under COVID-19. I know, it's entertaining, it's funny, it's hilarious. That's the reputation this town has gotten here throughout the Treasure Coast. Nobody wants to do business in Sebastian. You pick and choose the winners. So if you're going to go ahead and kudos the chairman of planning and zoning, let her report about the things that are not getting done. This past week, I saw improvements down there I know are not on site plans. They're the good old boys. And nobody's afraid, everybody's afraid to speak up and say something about it. But stay tuned. It's coming to the next meeting very shortly. And I appreciate you, Mr. Mayor. You are starting to be fair. I think Mr. Chris Nunn got to you. I really do. Thank you for your respect and not interrupting me. Thank you.
Okay, and would you, well, thank you. I'm going to give kudos again to the Plains Zoning Commission. They, in the process that was just discussed, they upheld the city's ordinances to the T, and any business that is interested in changing their business model is more than welcome to submit to our growth management department a new site plan. More than welcome to do that. We have actually turned down other businesses in this city who wanted permanent food trucks, and I can't go any further than that because it's under litigation, but I fully appreciate the fact that the Planning and Zoning Commission has upheld the ordinances of the city of Sebastian and the structure that was put in place for that. So thank you very much for that. Now I can recess the city council meeting. I'm sorry?
Let's go.
Okay, and call to order our community development agency, and we are now considering a sign and landscape grant for dumpster improvements at the Davis House Inn.
Mayor, if I can briefly. So for action items here going forward, non-procedural, like the last appointment was procedural, so it doesn't matter. But for action items, I checked and it'll need to be an affirmative vote of 3 or more.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I'll just add, I've heard from Councilmember McPartlin, and he should be on within the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. I mean, I can't think of anything so far in the agenda yet that we've gotten to that's going to be an issue.
It's just been procedural items, no action items.
Right, okay, thank you. Ma'am, you're recognized.
Good evening. What you have before you tonight is an application was received by our department. They are looking to do a improvement to their dumpster enclosure. And so we have a facade improvement program that allows CRA funds to help improve properties. And they've applied for this funding. They meet all of the requirements. Our code says that you can do up to $1,500 to help in constructing an improved dumpster enclosure at this location. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. I think everything's in your packet for you. That's what I have.
Council?
I looked at the pictures and it looks much better than what is currently there. So I'm certainly in favor of this.
All right, anyone from the public want to address this?
Thank you, sir. Damian Gilliams, 1623 US 1. I'm looking forward to come in front of you with my dumpster problem that I'm still trying to get hooked up to septic to sewer, and it's been close to 6-7 months now. I want to thank the city. I want to thank the city. You guys really
thank you for admitting you're not hooked up yet.
You really helped me move that project along. I started in 2015. You guys are breaking records.
Okay,
so,
this is the Davis House.
I
Please stop
understand
the
that,
clock.
but let me get back to my. Yeah.
I'm calling a point of order. You need to calm down.
I want
this is
to
the
be able
Davis
to
House
do the
dumpster.
Same thing as the famous Davis House at the No Name Sports Bar, and put up a nice fancy dumpster and get you guys to pay for half of it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the nice things you're doing for our community.
Okay.
If we can only do that with septic to sewer.
Well, it's nice that you admit that you're not hooked up yet, because I'm going to report that tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Any?
No, do we need a motion for that?
Yeah, I'd like a motion on that, please.
Yeah, a motion to approve the landscape
Second.
for the Davis House. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Consideration of purchase for a lawnmower. Mr. Benton.
I'm going to let Miss Bernard speak on this.
Good evening. So what you have before you tonight is part of what was already programmed in this new budget year. And so we are looking at changing the landscape maintenance to an in-house service. And so this equipment will be part of what is purchased to allow that to happen.
And if I understand it correctly, we are discontinuing using an outside paid service, and this lawnmower is one of the items that's allowing us to do that.
That is correct.
And we're going to incur less cost to do the maintenance as a result of discontinuing the outside service, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody understood that we're not just spending $22,000, we're actually saving money by spending $22,000.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Public input.
That's all right. We're good. Public
Do
input.
I have to?
Yes.
Public input. Anyone from the public want to address this item, please?
You know it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for recognizing me. Damian Gilliams, 490 US 1, in the CRA district, right there next to the park where I watch all those homeless people. Hey, I'm happy to see you getting a lawnmower. Does that mean I stopped cutting the right-of-way for you guys for 32 years? That's great news. Maybe I can just let you guys cut the grass.
If you take your picnic tables out, you can quit
You
cutting
did that. You took my picnic tables out already. Yeah. You find it entertainment.
Yeah.
But I
That's
have
the
loss
deal.
of income for a lot of years now. And that's not over, Mr. Mayor. You laugh about it, but you're hurting my family. You think it's a joke. It's not a joke. But let's get back to the lawnmower. That's right. I've been mowing your right-of-way for 32 years. And it's about time you pick up the slack and mow your own right-of-way. All right? And then stop sending your code enforcement officer saying I'm using your right-of-way when I'm maintaining it. You know, barbecue, we love you. At the right-of-way, at the no-name. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your time.
All right. All in favor of the motion to purchase the lawnmower? We did have a motion, did we
Roll
not?
call, please.
Roll call.
Yes, please.
A roll call.
Smith.
Yeah, okay, roll call, please.
Chairman Dodd,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Dixon,
Yes.
and Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, now I will adjourn the Community Redevelopment Agency and reopen the City Council meeting. And we're on to public hearings. This is a public hearing for consideration of ordinance number O-2418. Would the attorney like to read the ordinance language, please?
Ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, repealing and rescinding Sebastian Ordinance Number 09742 of March 5th, 1997, vacating the Ithaca Avenue from Empress Avenue to Spring Valley Avenue, Empress Avenue from Schuman Waterway to Spring Valley Avenue from Empress Avenue to the north line of Lot 21, Block 594, Spring Valley Avenue from the south line of Lot 22, Block 594, to Crawford Drive, Alexis Street from the cough drop, from Spring Valley Avenue south to the limit of plat, and Alexis Drive from Day Drive north to the limit of plat's right-of-way. Repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Are you going to do this? Brian is...
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the second and final hearing for ordinance 2418, which is rescinding ordinance 9742. This is in agreement with the development agreement that you guys signed for Sebastian Highlands 17, also known as Sebastian Overlook. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I also believe that the applicant is here.
Okay. I see a raised hand back there. Okay. Would you like to address the council?
Believe that? Hi, I'm Rebecca Miller, and I'm representing the applicant tonight. And I just want to thank everybody for your time, and I know that this is the final step in getting us to move forward in our development, and we're really excited about it. So we hope we have your support.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, any discussion or questions for the applicant or for the city staff before I open this up to the public, before I open the public hearing? Okay, I'm going to take that pause as we'll wait, and I'll open the public hearing. The public hearing is now open on ordinance number O-2418. Anyone in the public like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Now, council, what's your pleasure?
I just have a question. So when we vacate the public roads, how does that impact our ability to check on the project?
Okay, we are actually rescinding the vacation. of
Right,
the roads.
okay.
So
Got it.
we're reclassifying those as public roads.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
That was, okay.
yeah. Yeah, because 09742 is when they actually vacated the roads, and we're
Okay.
bringing them back.
Perfect.
Is on this, so. Any questions? Councilmember Jones? You look like it's gonna bite you.
Nope, it's not gonna bite me. It might bite y'all, but not me.
Okay. Okay, now I will, is Councilmember Partland on the line yet?
He has not yet joined.
He's not?
He has not joined yet.
Okay,
We're in the
I do
process
wanna,
of
I do wanna make
Recess
sure
until he's on.
I express to the council that a 2-1 vote on this is a no vote. Therefore, if anyone up here feels like that they need more information or more time, then I would appreciate it if they would move to table this item in order for us to have a larger number of council people available when we vote on it. So before.
Well, that'd be fine, because you need to table it, because the vote is not there tonight, so.
Okay, and if the vote is not there, then I'm going to move that we table this item to a date certain, which is our our November 4th meeting.
Motion to continue then.
Well, I'll make a motion to continue to November the 4th. Which, for everybody who doesn't know yet, we do have a meeting on November 4th. Okay. So I'll make a motion to do that. Because I would hate for us to, because we have 2 missing council members, I would hate for us to have a parliamentary thing deny the item. I'm not saying how I will vote on it, I'm just saying that things
Right.
happen. Okay. Any question on that motion? All right, then do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Vice Mayor Dixon,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones.
Yes.
And Mayor Dodd.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so we are tabling this item until November the 4th. Okay. All right, now, I have added item number 11B. This is the reconsideration of a vote that was taken on 9/25. And I understand that under the pure definition of Robert's Rules of Order, a reconsideration motion is typically done on the same day that the vote is originally taken, but because of the unique way that we do Robert's Rules of Order, I believe it's appropriate for me to make this motion at the very next meeting after the action took place. I'll let anyone who wants to question the attorney about that before I do that, do that if they'd like. So I voted, just so you know, I voted in the negative on the original first reading of this motion, and then I voted with in a 5-0 vote on the affirmative on the 9/25 vote on 02417. I've had some reconsiderations of that vote, and I would like to, I'd like to make a motion that we reconsider the 9/25 vote, and we can do that at either our November 4th or our November 18th meeting, whichever one the city manager would like to apply that to. So do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
And I don't believe, if I'm not mistaken, that a motion to reconsider is arguable until we actually reconsider the original vote. Is that correct?
I don't have elaboration on that, but your main motion tonight would only be to bring it back.
To bring it back for
Correct.
reconsideration, yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So, Brian, would you like to think about when you want to do that?
My recommendation is to bring it back on November 20th. That'll be the second meeting in November.
Okay, I thought it was the 18th.
The 4th is on a Monday, so you got to go 16 days from there instead of 14.
It's the 20th.
The
So
20th,
November
okay.
20th.
So the meeting's on the 20th. I'm sorry if I confused anyone.
Just so that it gives staff enough time to have discussions, you know, and with council and kind of see what they're looking for, and then we can bring it back on the 20th.
Okay, so that item will be brought back to the council on the November 20th meeting, which is the reconsideration of the vote on ordinance 2417.
2417.
Yes. 2417. Okay, we're now on to new business.
No, we got to have a vote on that, sir.
I believe a motion to reconsider,
Motion in a second.
that you don't vote until the actual main motion comes
No,
back.
I think you should,
Still vote?
yeah, I think you should vote.
All right, let's vote. Do we have to do a voice vote?
Yeah, we can do a voice vote. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, do a voice vote.
Yes.
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 Okay. Motion passes.
It's Bob is on, so
Oh,
that's
he's
good.
back.
All right.
Bob, Councilmember
yes.
McPartlin, you're here?
Yes, I made it. I've been watching your meeting, but I just got back to the hotel and I had a little difficulty getting on Zoom, but I'm here now.
All right, thank you, sir. We're on to a presentation from the Ocean Research and Conservation Association regarding activities in the city of Sebastian. Sorry you had to wait so long.
Happy to do so. Good evening, Council. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about our Riverside Living Shoreline project in partnership with the Ocean Research and Conservation Association and the City of Sebastian. Again, my name is Missy Weiss. I'm the Director of Citizen Science and Education with ORCA and a Sebastian resident, which makes this even more exciting for me personally. So the Living Shoreline project is a multi-phase project. The first part of this project is the Living Shoreline installation itself, which is composed of the installation of a series of breakwaters comprised of oyster reef balls, as well as shoreline planting, and then the associated scientific quarterly monitoring, which is done by ORCA staff as well as trained citizen scientists. The second part of the project is a buffered shoreline installation, as well as the associated scientific quarterly monitoring. And so I think the best way to explain the importance of living shorelines and why this would benefit the city of Sebastian and our community is I just want to show you a short video which highlights, again, the importance of living shorelines and why it's going to benefit all of us. Maybe. Today we're at Riverside Park for a habitat restoration project or a living shoreline installation. So a living shoreline is a habitat restoration technique that is used on properties that are exhibiting shoreline erosion. That shoreline erosion is usually an effect of continual wave action from boats or storms. With the help of volunteers, students, and adults in the community, we're going to be installing these oyster reef balls to try to prevent that erosion. So in the past, we've used a different type of module for our living shorelines. So the oyster reef balls are a more natural, sustainable option for shoreline erosion. So the goal of the project is really to have this shoreline start growing back and providing a habitat for more organisms that live both on the shoreline as well as in the water to utilize. And so we really foresee this location as being an example for other living shorelines in our area so that we're seeing those improvements that we also desperately want.
Yes, sir. The lagoon is a high priority for the city. We want to clean up the water, restore wildlife, and restore the lagoon overall. If you live here, you've impacted the environment, and we have a responsibility to restore the lagoon that is continuing to decline if we don't take corrective action.
So we want our students to actually be a mechanism for change. Having these experiential learning opportunities to really show their environmental stewardship through action is just very important for our school.
The thing that I've learned is a lot of people can get together and make good things happen. You know, I consider ORCA part of a long-term investment. This is really working to improve our environment. It's great being out on the water, but working and making the water better is a great way to go.
Okay, so that video was made in April, and that was for a living shoreline project that we did in partnership with the city of Vero Beach. And so it's very similar to a project that we're proposing or going to be doing very soon. So the sample site or the study site that we're looking to be able to install this living shoreline is at Riverview Park, specifically the kayak launch. And you can see in this Google Earth image that this area is exhibiting shoreline erosion already. So it doesn't have the stabilization that's needed there to prevent that erosion from happening, and so it's continuing to happen until something is done. So it's a perfect candidate for a living shoreline or habitat restoration technique. So what we are proposing and what the Florida DEP as well as the Army Corps has permitted already and has been approved is the design that you see here. So every blue rectangle is representing a breakwater, and that breakwater is composed of approximately 28 of those oyster reef balls that you can see in the bottom right-hand side as well as the upper right-hand side photos. And those breakwaters are approximately 10 feet long by 6 feet wide, and there is a mandatory or minimum gap of 5 feet in between each of those breakwaters. There's 13 in total. Now, what you'll also notice is that there is already an existing gap where the kayak launch access is already there. So there's a 34-foot gap which will remain so that people can still utilize that kayak launch area, launch their kayaks, paddleboards, access the water. What you can't see in this image is that there will also be supplementary educational signage. So that signage will allow visitors to know why living shorelines are important, what they are, why we did it, and how we did it. And then also what you can't see in this image, but was in the video, is that per the permit, we have to have navigational poles at each of the corners of those breakwaters. So there will be PVC with a little wrapped reflective tape illustrating that those breakwaters are in place. So that will remain as well. Now, we chose this particular module, the oyster reef ball created by Reef Innovations, because it already has experience in the waterways already. So previous organizations, municipalities, counties, entities have utilized this particular module in living shorelines and found that it to be successful. So that is one reason why we've chose to use this module. Another is that it is not plastic-based, it's cement-based, so we're not contributing to the plastic problem that a lot of living shoreline modules in the past have used, including Orca, until we realized that that is not what we want to be doing. So this module is much more sustainable in that means. Again, it's cement-based, so it's not gonna degrade or decompose after 6 months, a year and a half. It's stable. As you can see in this image as well, there's oysters that will recruit to it. Oysters will really recruit to anything, but we know that they'll recruit to the oyster reef balls as well, as long as there's a population that will do so. And even though this isn't an oyster restoration project, it's more of a shoreline stabilization project, there's lots of secondary benefits like oyster recruitment that we're hoping to see. Additionally, you can see lots of holes and cracks and crevices, so shelter and habitat for invertebrates and fish. I envision it being a stopover for migratory birds and shorebirds. So it has a lot of secondary benefits. And again, they have been successful under ambient water conditions to accrete that shoreline, which is what we want to see over time. In addition to that installation of the shoreline or those modules, we will also supplement the already existing native plants that are at that shoreline. So we'll continue the smooth cordgrass, excellent at holding on to sediments and preventing erosion, as well as supplementing some of the other plants, native plants there. And then probably what is so impactful is that it engages the community. So from the beginning to the end, this project incorporates people in our community, people of all ages, backgrounds. And so the installation was originally set for this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The storm put a little bit of a wrench into that, in that the water levels are just too high. And we don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize the success of this project. So as of a couple of hours ago, we have now postponed that to November 15th, 16th, and 17th. As soon as we are able to modify our flyers, we'll share it with the team at the City of Sebastian, and we will all distribute to recruit new volunteers. We had nearly 40 volunteers signed up for the weekend, which is good, and I only envision that to be increasing. And then also with community involvement, we are allowing volunteers to be trained by us to help us with that seasonal monitoring, so they can be part of the science, so they can learn about biodiversity, they can monitor for it, recruitment, water quality, so on and so forth. So again, this flyer will be revised with the appropriate dates and times shared and then put back into the community. People are encouraged to register to help us out and be part of the solution. And then finally, I just want to thank and appreciate our funders. So this is a completely 100% funded project. There's nothing being asked of from the city of Sebastian. We are bringing the funding to this project, and that is being done by the One Lagoon or Indian River Lagoon National Estuary Program. We received a community restoration grant, as well as 11th Hour Racing. And then obviously we want to thank you as our partners, the city of Sebastian, for allowing us this opportunity. I think it'll be a really good role model and demonstration site for other municipalities. And with that, I will answer any questions.
I don't have any questions, but I'm definitely looking forward to this for several years now. We've had other projects down there. Some utilize plastics to bring the oysters back and all of that stuff, but this is great. I've been waiting for this for a long time, so this is very exciting for our city and for our lagoon. This will definitely help restore our lagoon, projects like this. So we're really excited that you guys are doing that here, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll echo that.
Excuse me?
We'll echo that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to come back and share some of the data with you once
Yes.
we have it.
Right. So
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're now on to item number 13B.
Public input, public input.
On the Orca thing?
It's a new business item. It's got a.
Okay, is there anyone from the public that would like to address this item? Just keep me straight down there, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you, Damian Gilliams. I'm happy, that was a great presentation, the oyster reef ball. I don't know if she knows that we're dumping all the sewage off of US Highway 1 into the river. I don't know if she knows that.
You mean from that bar?
No.
Septic tank?
No. From the property next door to the city of Sebastian, where the yacht club is, there's a big pipe that goes underneath the building to the property to the south. I'll be happy to show it to you.
Okay,
Excuse me, don't interrupt me.
I am going to
stop the clock. Would you
stop the clock, please? We're talking about the Orca thing.
Rehabilitation, that's right, it's right there.
Please address the item.
That's what I'm doing.
Thank you.
That's what I'm
Thank you,
doing.
sir. You may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I don't know if she's aware that the state of Florida, with the infamous design and engineering of stormwater, dumps all their oil and gas off the US Highway 1 right into where she's talking about. Don't you think we should, explain to her where our outlets are? Because we have them up and down Indian River Drive. And we're polluting the hell out of the river because all the manatee are dying. There's no seagrass for them to eat. The record is very clear. I was at the last lagoon meeting. It was very clear. It's in the hundreds of manatees. And here we are going to put these oyster reef balls down there right where the outlet is. It's wrong. I'm going to give her my number. I'm going to show her the pictures that I have because I own the property. I'm a witness. I can do an affidavit and testify that you dump all the oil and gas off the highway into the lagoon, and now you're going to try to clean it up. Why couldn't you just confront it, let her know, hey, we have a problem, and it's the state. You guys have no control over it. But if you don't go to the lagoon council meetings and address the issue and have your city manager go down there and explain, hey, we got a problem. We need to do retention ponds along the Intracoastal Way so that this young lady can make her project successful. It's going to fail. It's going to fail. And you just look at me like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, and I will show you where those outlets are. You're polluting the lagoon. You're killing everything in it. I came to this town as a clamor. I'm an environmentalist, Mr. Mayor. Let's do it right. Don't let her spend all her money with these beautiful balls to try to catch and get the river to come back alive when you're not going to fix the problem because it's the state of Florida and you're afraid to confront that. Let's confront it. Let's get our state representatives into the council chambers here, our state senators. Let's go ahead and put it on the agenda for the legislature. Maybe hire a lobbyist. You know, you're talking about a lobbyist for other things in that last minutes of meetings that I read. Let's deal with this head on and talk about C-54 that's dumping from Fellsmere, all those fertilizing farms that are dumping into C-54, into the Sebastian River, then into the lagoon, and then out to the inlet. But you guys don't want to face the big guys. You hide under the rocks, and you don't want to bring it out and say, we have a major problem in this town, and we just cover it up and throw money at it and throw more money at it. We've been talking about this. I've been in this town for 40 years, and nothing is getting done. Ma'am, my number is 772-713-5071. Call me. I will make time for you and show you these outlets so that you don't waste your time with your citizens and your volunteers in fixing something that's never going to get fixed. Never, until you stop the problem. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know you don't like to hear from me, but it's the fact.
I just want to hear when your septic tank's fixed. I just want to hear when your septic tank's fixed.
It's done.
It's done? You just said a little while ago it wasn't hooked up.
No, it's hooked. Yeah, okay. we got a nice lift
station. Thank you, sir. That was
Actually,
very
I'm
nice.
waiting for that grant money that you took from me.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back for that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, now, please, let's go on to item 13B, which is consideration of transfer of real property to Habitat for Humanity. Mr. Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what we brought back to you all in previous meetings, we had received direction to work with Habitat for Humanity to bring workforce housing into the city and work with them on the transfer of property. So what we've come up with is we've identified, based on direction from you all, the 3 properties. One is along Tuxedo Terrace, one is Concha Drive, and one is along Barber Street. We have identified these 3 as 3 separate contracts. That way, if there happens to be any issues along the way, or if one of the properties is deemed that they are not able to meet our requirements, that we don't have to amend an alternate document. It can just be the one contract. So we're requesting you all to approve these 3 separate contracts, probably in 3 separate votes.
Yes.
Here tonight. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Questions from the council?
No, sir.
All right, then I'll open this up for public comment.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. I wouldn't have to come down here if you would debate me and Mrs. Dixie would debate me. We can clear the air. But hey, let's talk about this Habitat for Humanity. Did anybody really read the document? Do you know how long that individual gets onto that property and has a right to resell it? Probably not. You do? Okay. Well, maybe there's one of you up there that do know. It's 5 years. That's not long enough. Here we are donating city assets for affordable housing. As a realtor in this community for 40 years, people would be happy to go ahead, and I see that you included everybody, the first responders, the teachers, the residents, Indian River County people. I thought that was pretty good. But 5 years is not long enough. They need to stay a little longer before they sell and make a profit. So I would make a suggestion. You can go 10 and maybe compromise at 7. The average family moves every 7 years, but 5 years is too short. People will be taking advantage of this, and they would be going in on the investment, and then they would be flipping it. So actually, 10 years is a good number. I hope you take that under consideration. I'm not real big about giving city assets away, but affordable housing is needed, and I'm a big proponent. When I sat on the board, I was on the Affordable Housing Board, and I thought it was important that people that did not make enough money to get a first mortgage, to purchase a home, this would help them. And I think that's important. And I commend the city for doing this, coming out front and donating this property to Habitat for Humanity. Again, 5 years is too short. I think 10 is a good number. Thank you.
Okay, Council. Councilmember McParland, do you have any comments?
Well, I'm pretty sure, Habitat doesn't let you flip a house in 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
They get it back first, or first,
Okay, Council, I would like to recommend that we actually have a separate motion for each of these pieces of property, and that's primarily, I just like to keep a clear chain on the transactions, since we're going to actually sign a purchase order on this property, assuming that it passes. So rather than have a single motion that bundles the three together, I'd like to have a motion on each individual piece of property.
That's fine. Then I move, make a motion that we approve the contract for Tuxedo Terrace.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember McPartlin seconded that. Any other comments from the council? Let's have a voice vote, please. Your mic's not on.
Okay. Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Motion
Okay,
carries.
let's
Thank
go on to the second item, please.
I move approval of purchase contract for Contra Drive project.
We have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call, please.
Who's second?
Who's the second?
I think Councilmember McPartlin did that. I think I heard him say
Sure.
second.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Mayor Dodd?
I think the vice mayor wanted a second.
I'll get the next one.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Madam Vice Mayor, do you have a motion that you'd like to make?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the contract for Barber Street.
Second.
All right, you have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
And Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay.
Make a motion for a 5-minute recess for the restroom.
We're in recess for 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, this
Okay.
is Resolution 2460. Sorry, Resolution 2460. Wayne, would you like to address that, or does Brian want to do it, or?
Yeah, do you want to read the resolution? No?
Hit
Okay. Have we been reading resolutions? I don't remember.
We
Or just
haven't
reading
been.
ordinances?
We haven't been.
Okay, that's
No,
fine.
only ordinances.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
So I can start this, and then if you have any specific questions, you can ask Wayne. One of the things that was brought up in last year's financial audit was that some of our current fees in the building department system were not shown in the resolution, or they did not quite understand how they were shown in the resolution. So it took some clarification, and that's why this is coming back to you all tonight, to kind of clarify and exactly pinpoint specific fees that are being charged. Also, there were some fees that were showing up in our online system that were not utilized by the city any longer. So a little bit of cleaning up and clarification was required, and that's what's before you all tonight is a resolution that kind of clarifies, meets the requirements of our audit, what the findings were from last year, and try to get that all cleaned up for you.
okay. Staff, any comments? Anything else that you have, Brian?
No, as Brian said, that these are just a few fees that were kind of erroneously just not in the resolution that we had in our system.
Okay.
A lot of it was carryovers from our old system. And so through the audit process, we realized there was a few fees that we need to put in here. We weren't raising fees or anything, just adding fees that weren't codified.
All right. Anyone in the public want to address this item? Seeing none. Council, what's your pleasure on this?
Make a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution R24-60, amending Resolution R23-20.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Let's have a roll call, please.
Oh. Public.
Sorry?
No, we did. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
good.
you did. Yes. Mike went off.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right. We're now on to a consideration of Resolution R2461, which pertains to the parking in lieu of fund.
Yes, so I can get this one started while Alex is coming up as well. So we had this discussion back in July, back in July, we were given direction to review this. We brought the parking in lieu back to you all with a price that was a good number based on one parking space, based on the cost estimates that we had. Following that meeting, you all had kind of had a discussion in regards to eliminating the parking in lieu program due to the cost associated with it. However, we went back and had some discussions with staff, and typically there's multiple parking spaces that are ever built whenever we put this program into action. So based on that, I asked staff and to come back with a couple different options. One option, leave the parking in lieu exactly the same, which is only $3,200 per parking space. I can tell you right now, that fee, we will lose money. There's no easy way around it. That is not a sufficient amount. We can raise the parking in lieu fees from $3,200 to $10,000 per space. That was a number that was discussed substantially around from council at that discussion meeting. And then also that's a number that as we went back and kind of ran the numbers on multiple parking spaces, we feel that's more of a comfortable number that would cover those costs. Third option is to modify the code for the parking requirements in the riverfront area. And in the final option, which was some direction from council as well, as looking into dissolving the parking in lieu program. So what you have before you is Resolution 2461, which we had identified the fee as $10,000 per space, if that's the direction you give us tonight. Otherwise, the other direction will dissolve the program or leave it the same, or look at modifying the code for parking requirements. And Alex is available if you have any specific questions.
There are many codes in the land development code that we need to reevaluate, not just parking, landscape, several. Is there, and I understand at some point in time there was a discussion about trying to schedule something to do that.
Like a workshop?
Well, not for us, but it has to, I mean, there's a process that has to go through. It has to go through the staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission and so forth. I'm not recommending that I mean, my recommendation would be we raise to $10,000, but also I think we should also take a look at the parking code. Sometimes I think we're somewhat onerous on small businesses. Parking and landscape are two areas where that can possibly come back to haunt us. So I would think that we should agree with the resolution and raise it to $10,000, but also maybe try to get something set up in which we take a look at that part of the code and decide if there's something within there that we can modify. And I don't know what timing is on that. I understand staff's busy. There's a lot of stuff going on. You know, reevaluating parts of the land development code because they might be onerous on businesses sounds great, but it's something that very seldom ever gets scheduled because there's just way too much going on to do that. So it might even be, Brian, that it's time to think about coming back to council for funds to bring in a consultant to look at some of that kind of stuff. You know, that those kinds of things that that our staff is not able to get to. I don't know. That's something for you to think about. But I would recommend personally that we approve the $10,000 increase, and we also ask that the staff or the city manager come back to us with a process by which we can reevaluate that part of the code. Any comments from anybody?
That seems reasonable.
I'm in agreement with raising it to the $10,000.
I'm sorry?
I'm in agreement with raising it to the $10,000.
We don't need to lose funds. And if parking needs, I mean, there are times when we really need parking. We certainly don't need less.
Yeah, when this was originally set up, we had a lot more on-street parking availability than we currently have.
Right.
I mean, the number of spaces hasn't changed, but the demand has changed for that.
Yeah, and with supply and demand.
We haven't decreased parking spaces, so everybody understands that, but the demand is take a look at the number of trucks and trailers parked on US 1 on a nice weather weekend where the guys launch their boats either at Main Street or at the yacht club and park on US 1, take up 2 parking spaces. So we really don't have the excess on-street parking that we used to have because the demand has increased dramatically. So I think we need to really consider that when we think about this and make the dollar amount sufficient so we literally could build a parking lot if enough people want to do that.
Right.
Right. Well, that was when this was before us before, that was my original motion is $10,000. So I'm good with $10,000.
Okay. Any comments from the public on this? Seeing none. Okay. Council, do we have a motion on this?
I'll make a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
You didn't get in there this time.
That's okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I'm going to reiterate that. Councilmember McPartlin, your motion is that we accept Resolution R-2461, which increases the cost to $10,000 per parking space, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
And Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we're on now to consider adoption of Resolution R-2464, which is establishing engineering fees for dewatering inspections.
So this is in line with the financial audit where they found the building department permit prices. There was no resolution prior for the dewatering permit fees, so we are looking to just codify that with this resolution. We have been charging for these inspections, and we are looking to continue to do so and be in line.
All right. Anyone in the public want to address this item? Seeing none. Council, what's your pleasure on this?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution R-24-64.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other comments from council? Let's have a roll call, please.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we're now on to, this is RFP 2416 from the airport.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to get this one started, and then I'm going to turn it over to Jessica because I know she really wants to discuss this item. But I do want to just bring everyone's attention on the consent agenda, and so under item 8E. This item pertains to item 8E as well. So on 8E was the acceptance of additional funds and an amended total of an FDOT grant to fund the additional $8,550 that was needed for this AWAS system. The original grant was $120,000, which is an 80% FDOT, 20% city match. And then based on the bids, we did need to increase that to $128,550. And thanks to FDOT working with us, they agreed to fund 80% of that $8,550 increase. So the city's portion only increased $1,710. Awesome. So now with the purchasing portion, I will turn it over to Jessica and let her give you that.
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, Council. So as Brian stated, this is an RFP to replace our AWAS system out at the airport. And if you don't know, the AWAS system, it is there to provide not only weather updates to the pilots or just anyone that has access. So if they're coming into the city, they will know what the weather, wind, things like that are. Current system is from 2017 and it is obsolete. So we have the grant, we put out an RFP. Unfortunately, due to the nature of this item, there are only 4 companies that are listed in the FAA circular that are authorized to provide this AWAS system. So we did only receive 1 bid, but we did go through, vet that submitter, who is DBT Transportation. We also had additional questions, made sure that every everything that every issue that we may have had in the past, because it is a current vendor, as well as just clarifying some items, we had that clarified at our 2 committee meetings, and so the committee has made a recommendation to move forward. So I'm before you tonight asking to select DBT Transportation for the AWAS system upgrade.
Okay, anyone from the public like to address this item? Seeing none. Council. Any questions for the staff or?
No, sir. I'd just like to say this is much needed out there. Obviously, we have a lot of planes coming in and out now, so this will greatly enhance the aviation around our city. So I move approval.
Second.
I think the vice mayor got that second.
I did.
All right. Let's have a roll call, please.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. We're now on to item G, which is purchase order for Asphalt Pavement Systems, Inc.
Yes, so Mr. Mayor, so Lee is available for any specific questions. He did present to you all in a folder today the exact information on which streets are going to be, and we do have it on the slide for the public as well, which streets are going to be included in this. The blue items that were remaining from phase 2, which we're considering phase 2, based on our discussions with you all, we kind of identified and reclassified our paving plan because the years were going to play out a little differently than what was shown in our pavement management program. So phase 2 was FY 23-24 roads that were done this year. However, we did hold off on a few of those in our efforts to work with the county so that they were not cutting those roads open, installing sewer pipes, and then having to repave and patch those. So we held off on those. Those will be included in this round as we go into FY 24-25. And then the items identified in green, which are pretty much the southern portion of the city, are shown there. The one road that I know we did move up from a future year, I think it was in FY '26, is Barber Street. So you can see that roadway roughly from the curve. Most people know where the major curve is there on Barber Street as you start to get close to the elementary school. From there, all the way to US 1 is now going to be included in this fiscal year. We were seeing some really quick detriment of that roadway, and it needs to have a full depth reclamation done quickly on that. So with that, what you have before you is within the budget, and it is utilizing APS paving. I know in speaking with Lee earlier today, we're still working to get final numbers from our swell contractor. That's why you see the number is below budget. However, we do anticipate that number coming in right around the budget number once we include swell work and driveway work. But Lee is here for any specific questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay, is the swell and driveway work going to come back under a separate item?
Yes, it will have to come back to you all.
Okay.
So, Lee, under the 2024 preservation project street list, the ones that are listed in blue, the papers that we received tonight, those are currently listed in green on the map that we received, right?
Good evening, Council. There are some up to the top portion of the map in blue.
Right.
Then everything else is in green, is the 24-25,
Yeah,
currently phase 3.
I was looking at this sheet that has these streets
Yes.
listed in blue on here, but they're
Correct.
currently green on the actual map.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, have we scheduled the 23-24 work so far in coordination with the county? Do they know a time frame in which they need to do their work?
Yes. There are some streets that are ready currently, and there's, I believe, Louisiana we're still holding off on.
Okay, so they've already done their cuts on those streets?
So they have been well informed on these streets. They are not yet all complete.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
and that's done. That you've actually done that in a written communication, so they can't.
They have been well informed.
Okay. All right.
Which streets these are.
Okay.
Numerous occasions.
Okay. Okay. We've got a meeting scheduled for later this month. Can I get a copy of the time frame you're looking for on those streets before that meeting?
Yes, sir.
Possibly. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, council, what's your pleasure on this? First, anyone in the public want to address this item? Seeing none. Council.
Mayor, with that being said, I would move approval.
Second.
Okay, you're moving approval to award the contract to.
Yeah, you want me to just read it out? That's what we're talking about. So.
To Asphalt Payment Systems, Inc.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you for reading.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's
We
have a
did
roll.
have
I'm sorry, any comments from anyone on the council?
No.
Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
And Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, we're now on to consideration of purchase order for environmental products to purchase a sewer cleaning truck. But you're not buying it to clean sewers, you're buying it to clean stormwater.
Stormwater vac truck, yes, sir.
Okay. Brian, do you have some? Lee?
I'm going to let Lee talk on this one.
Okay.
So currently we have a end-of-life vac truck that's been under service and repair over the last 5 months, 4 times. It's currently out for repair now. We have $11,000 in repairs that's currently being done on it. We just received an additional up to $30,000 that needs to be done on it. We have the company that made a mistake. They're covering it. They're doing it at $11,000. Prior to that, we rented vehicles that incurred costs of over $14,000 over a 9-day period. And then just recently, prior to the storm, we had to rent it again for 2 additional days. So the cost is just compounding. The current vehicle that we have is pretty much at end of life, which is why we're coming to council for the approval of this new truck at $485 that comes within budget. That was previously budgeted for this calendar year.
Right.
So it falls within budget.
Okay. Anyone from the public want to address this item?
Thank you, sir. Damian Gilliams. I had the opportunity to spend some time out there at the new compound down at the airport. And for 9.9 plus million, when I was on council, it was 3.6 million, but I don't know
Point of
how.
order, please. Would you stop the clock? We're talking about purchasing a vac truck.
That's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to. I'm talking about equipment.
None of this mismatching stuff. The vac truck is what we're talking about.
I'm getting to the point here because you're going to spend $500,000 almost on a piece of equipment that's going to sit and bake out in the sun and you have nowhere to put it.
Okay.
That's my concern.
Okay.
Okay, so
That-
if you
If
you allow me, thank you. I appreciate it because this is taxpayers' money. And when you spend $9 million to build a compound plus, and you don't have overhang, and you don't have somewhere to put this equipment, it's sitting out baking and roasting out in the sun, that's a problem. You know, Port St. Lucie just did one. I mean, it got destroyed in the storms, but they had one, 10 to 20,000 square feet. Something where I got pictures of millions of dollars worth of equipment sitting out at that compound, baking and roasting in the sun. That's not necessary when you're spending millions of dollars and you get ready to drop another $500,000 on a piece of equipment and you have nowhere to put it but to lay it out in the sun. So I think you should put this on hold. I know you probably need it, but you need to start talking about how you're going to get all that expensive equipment out of the sun, baking. And I repeat it a few times because I'm not sure I'm getting through. It's a lot of money. And I can share you the pictures tonight if you want. I'll post them right up there for you so you can see. You know, it's shameful. It's really shameful. And I think we could do better, especially when we spend $9 million on a garage.
All right, council, what's your pleasure?
I'll move approval of the purchase order.
Second.
Okay, so, all right, that's good. Let's have a roll call, please.
Yes.
McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Dixon?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a purchase order for $141,000 to Dobbs Equipment for a John Deere 310P backhoe for Public Works. See staff.
Good evening, council. Yes, we're looking to purchase a 310 John Deere backhoe for Public Works Stormwater. With the increased 5 staff that we're hiring this fiscal year, we need more equipment to staff those to address the stormwater concerns throughout the city.
All right, anyone from the public like to address this item?
Thank you, sir. $141,000 piece of equipment that, most people in Sebastian, they get a lawnmower and they spend a lot of money on it and they put it in their garage. They don't leave it outside. I just want to reiterate, so I want to make sure that you don't miss my point, that you need to do some planning, strategic planning. Again, $400,000 for the sewer truck, $141,000 for the lawn cutting machine, and I see some really nice equipment out there. I saw that big truck. It looks like they're ready for a war. Must have been about $300,000. Wonder if we used it during the hurricane. But getting back to the equipment, again, I can't reiterate it any more than I am. You need to get your budget in order to figure out what you're going to do to get this stuff out of the sun. And it's not even on paved concrete or asphalt, sitting in the grass. And that's not cool. Thank you.
All right, council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval of the purchase order of the John Deere backhoe.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other comments? Let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Mayor Dodd,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dixon,
Yes.
and Councilmember Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, council, we're down to the city attorney matters.
Nothing tonight.
City manager.
Just a couple things. So I know earlier, I thank staff for their hard work with dealing with Hurricane Milton. But I did name quite a few departments, but I just want to make sure I name a couple of more. You know, Wayne in the building department, they were instrumental with doing some debris assessments, damage assessments, and utilizing a new system this year post-storm. So they did a great job with that. And then also want to recognize Jeff and our airport staff for the huge effort that they just went through and are still kind of going through with cleanup of the deployment of over 200, almost 300 electrical trucks, additional 50 to 100 tree trimming vehicles for FPL resource area. We're all stationed at our airport. They came in basically with their own little city. They had housing, they had kitchens, food, fueling stations, equipment. It was pretty impressive to see what was out there, but I know that it was a Herculean effort by Jeff and his staff to kind of manage it all and maintain operation of one of our runways at the airport. So we were able to keep the airport open and still manage to house all of those efforts to try to get power back to not only Sebastian, but our neighboring communities who dealt with a little bit more damage than we did. So just want to recognize him for that effort. And also with staff with, this agenda was a really big one, 700 plus pages. And we were also dealing with trying to get prepared for the storm. So thank you to staff for your commitment on staying on top of these things and getting these in and getting the review process done. So just kudos to staff for everything they did. We learned some things. We're going to implement some additional measures as we go forward with additional storms in the future. But I think it was a good exercise for us, and everything operated the way it should. So thanks to staff.
Mr. Benton, could you also mention that we send resources to our neighboring cities as well?
We did. I know, just to speak specifically about our police department, we sent resources down on Wednesday after the tornado touchdown and kind of went through the Vero community. We sent search and rescue staff and equipment down to Vero. And then once they kind of called that off for the evening, once the winds picked up, we sent additional staff back down there again Thursday morning to assist them in those efforts as well. So it was a large effort. It was a joint effort. I know it worked well we had the Sheriff's Department, Vero, Indian River Shores, our police department, but then also you had a National Guard, FWC, and a lot of state agencies were down there to assist them. So proud of our police department and proud of our staff for the way they handled everything.
Is that it, sir? Thank you. Okay, City Clerk, you have to have at least one thing tonight.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was in the council in the building part of the time during the hurricane stuff, and they were here. So, Brian, you neglected to give kudos to the city clerk's office, but I'll do that. I'm sorry. All right, Vice Mayor Dixon, you're next.
Yes, I just want to, continue on with all the gratitude for the city staff and everyone for all that you did. Even Mr. Benton for his leadership, but specifically to our stormwater department, I had people that I work with. I teach in Vero, as many of you know, and I had colleagues come up to me and say how jealous they were of how well the stormwater worked in Sebastian. They have family members who live in Sebastian and saying that we did it best and that they were very envious of how well things are going up here. So kudos to your hard work in stormwater and public works. Thank you to our police who were out there working long hours, to the airport, especially to Avery. Her communication was constant. I really try to stay off social media, and I went on just to keep sharing all that she was putting out there to keep the information flowing, because as you all know, with our media market being what it is, we're often left out in the news. So it was very important to have her on staff. I'm really glad of that hire, and she did a fantastic job. So thank you to everyone. I think you handled it very well, and I love that you're always looking to improve, and you can see where you did well, but you can see where you can also improve, and that's fantastic. So thank you, everyone, and I hope to see all the families out tomorrow and Friday at all of the events we have going on in town. That is all.
Okay, I just want to reiterate one of the things that the Vice Mayor just said. If you, and I've actually questioned Avery about this, and if you don't look at the City of Sebastian's Facebook page, you're going to miss information about Sebastian, because that's the primary resource where she posts not just information about the storm, just general stuff about Sebastian is in that Facebook page. I'm kind of an old guy, and I question, why aren't you using YouTube? And I guess I aged myself, because YouTube's already passé. People don't use YouTube anymore. So she, but
they'll
the
even
Facebook
say
page
Facebook is, but she even puts it on Instagram for those who
and she also
are on
puts
the
it on
gram.
X,
She does. She puts it everywhere. She's great.
But that's a good thing. I also want to reiterate what Brian said at the beginning of the meeting. We are going to start cleaning up storm debris. It's a one-time pickup. Please understand, if you don't have storm debris out, it won't get picked up again. They're going to go through this city one time and do a mass pickup. So anybody who's got stuff that they haven't put out, please put it out, and put it out on the street so it can be picked up. I don't know whether they're going to use a claw truck or not to do it, but.
Can I just add something?
Yes.
Can I add something real quick? Sorry, I did fail to mention this. We will post the formal announcements. Will all go out tomorrow morning on our social media channels. I would advise the public and anyone in the community to have your stuff in place by the end of Saturday. The trucks are in the city already. They arrived first thing this morning. They will be pushing out sometime this weekend. So we're going to work and have all that finalized. I needed you all's approval. We will have that finalized, and we will push it out to everyone first thing tomorrow morning. So be ready. They're going to come through quick. And as the mayor said, one time push, and that's going to happen quickly. And they will have claws. They will be pushing some debris around. So we will have a debris management and a debris removal company on site out there once they get started. So follow social media, and we'll get it on our website, and everything will be posted first thing tomorrow morning.
And when they pick up things like tree limbs and stuff with the claw, there's going to be stuff left behind, because they're not going to get out and rake it up and shovel it into their truck. So there's going to be stuff left behind. So you're going to have to go out and do some cleanup after they go through and pick it up. So be patient with the fact that that's going to occur. And the city's not going to send staff out to rake your swale when they pick up the stuff in there. So be prepared for that. Now, one other item. I would like to see a consensus. I would like to have and I believe it's a resolution for our meeting procedures brought back to the council for discussion. It doesn't have to be at our next meeting, but I would like to discuss some changes to that. In particular, I would like to discuss changing the time for public input from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. So if there's a consensus to have that brought back, then the city attorney can bring it back to us and we can discuss it. Anybody else? Anybody have any issue with that?
No.
No. Bob, do you have Councilmember Partland, do you have any issue with that?
You know, it's just one of those things. I'd like to leave it at 5 minutes.
Well, let's talk about it.
We
Right.
always have the ability to extend, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's fine.
Yeah, but either way, we still have to discuss that.
Yeah, we
and
have to
vote on
discuss
So
it.
regardless.
So we'll bring it back for discussion and then get direction to bring it back. And it'll most likely be a codification issue now with respect, so it'd be ordinances.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But we'll bring it back. I'll bring it back to you.
Okay, that's fine. And that's all I've got. Councilmember Jones.
Yes, I'd just like to say we're very fortunate that we didn't get some of the tornadoes that our neighboring cities got. And I remember sitting at the house and looking at all these tornado boxes come, and I was really really frightened by a lot of those things because there are some other things that are happening as well. But in my career prior to this, I've been all over this state and Puerto Rico and other states, Mississippi and everything else during storms. I've driven through storms to get to areas that were going to be affected. But I can tell you, I was truly frightened with some of those storms that were, the tornadoes that was coming here, so that almost got to us. And we've never had an EF3, EF2 around here, so it's unprecedented, some of the storms that we received. And I just want to say how fortunate we really are because, like I said, some of our neighboring cities really got hit hard. And I want to just say that we're here. If anybody need anything from us, if you want to talk or anything, I'm here, I'm available. So I know it's been very traumatic. We have people that have lost homes and everything. So we just keep them in our prayers. And another thing is that no matter what we do up here, there's somebody's always going to dislike what we say or not agree with what we do and how we do our business up here. But I just want everybody else to know, and I think everybody in this city realizes that we're basically volunteering here. And we do the best we can for our community. Everything that we do is for the city of Sebastian here. And I don't believe that there's a selfish individual up here on this council. And the things that we do because we believe it's in the best interest of our city. And with that, I'm done for tonight, Mr. Dodd.
All right, Councilmember McPartlin.
Again, I just want to, give the kudos to the staff, for the storm. I mean, I was a little worried last Wednesday when I saw that 6 inches just drop it seemed like 15 minutes. And I saw my road fill up. I saw my empty lot filled up quicker than I ever saw. But you just gave it time, and the storm water just worked very good, and it moved. That was the big thing. And then reiterating what Mr. Jones mentioned, I spent the weekend in Lakewood Park in Spanish Lakes, and those tornadoes I don't think there's anything more frightening than a tornado going in there and shredding. So yes, keep them in our thoughts. And if there's anything that people can do, raise money or anything along those lines. And now again, that I'm over here in Tampa and it's just devastation. So if you could keep those people in your thoughts and prayers. And that's it, Mr. Dodd.
Thank you, sir. All right, if there's nothing else for the good of the order, we are adjourned.